Good morning and welcome to Coffee and Conversation. Today we are joined by Paula Landis, the Curriculum Director at YWCA, and by Stephanie Thomas, our VP of Early Childhood Education. So Paula, we'll start with you.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. Stephanie and I are going to share a bit of information about the Workforce Development Program. And to do that, I'm going to share my screen. Stephanie and I represent the Early Childhood Education Program, and I instruct and develop the Workforce Development Program. The Workforce Development Program is focused on early childhood educators, or ECEs. And as you can see in this graphic, the early childhood educator is just one of many folks or roles that support the life or touch the lives of children and families in our communities. This graphic comes from the Power to the Profession unifying framework for the early childhood profession. It's a document that envisions what types of changes early childhood educators and other people that are supporting children and families would like to see, particularly in this early childhood education, in order to strengthen the quality of care that young children and their families receive. So that's who we're focused on, is these early childhood educators. Let's see, how do I go down here? Okay. So our program is actually in response to some ongoing shortages that this graphic shows from back to 2015, but the early childhood educator workforce shortages have been going on a long time, at least since the 2000s, when we started measuring quality of care. And as we've started, or as researchers and people that are focused on early childhood education, teachers and the quality of care that young children receive, started looking more at the quality of care, we started to really notice some gaps and disparities. And there's been in different states and different communities, people respond in different ways. So our response is to the teacher shortages, which are evidenced in weak recruitment, high attrition levels, or attrition ideation that early childhood professionals have, and then they attribute that to injury, illness, job stress and difficulty, low wages, and lack of training and resources. This program is meant to try and answer some of those problems that teachers have. And you can see from 2015 to 2020, I don't know if you can see this that well, but the gaps haven't decreased. If they've decreased, it's been only marginally, but moreover, they've increased. And then this bottom chart down here is this negative 4,092 is family childcare capacity. Center childcare capacity is only at 1,000. So we're not where we want to be. So our program, the YWCA Minneapolis Workforce Development Program, qualifies early childhood educators for the CDA. The CDA is a national certificate that in the state of Minnesota can qualify an early childhood educator to either be an assistant teacher or lead teacher, depending on their education and their experience. It can qualify them for credits in college towards a early childhood degree. And it can increase their comfortability with practicing and understanding some of the basic tenets of high quality care. Our program teaches teachers self-reflective practices, which are skills that allow a teacher to examine what the reasons are behind why they're doing what they're doing, what their intentions are, and how they can best support a broad swath of diversity in their education practices with children. And these skills we've found through research with our past participants that these skills have been extending far beyond the classrooms. A lot of participants in the program, when they come back to share their reflections on their experiences in our program, they're telling us that this program has impacted their future jobs, even if they've decided to move beyond the field or beyond the role of an early childhood educator into some greater social services roles or other types of community support roles or professional roles. They have this grounding in early childhood education that helps them understand some of the ways that humans react to difficult situations, for example, or they think about new ways to support their own children and their own families and make a greater dedication to their own self-care. So that's what YWCA does. We do more than just qualify the teacher for the test to earn their CDA. We give them time to develop skills that help them be more reflective, focus on self-care, and create a greater sense of harmony and joy, hopefully, in their lives as they move through their profession. So we also use our own mission-driven and research-based curriculum that I've created and had approved by the state of Minnesota as continuing education for early childhood professionals. The YWCA mission of eliminating racism and supporting women and girls is at the front of how the curriculum is delivered. Some of the offerings that our program provides to the participants are typically financial assistance is what they're called, and that can look like a gas or a bus card. It can look like a loaned computer. It might be a gifted computer. It's free course materials. It is providing the fees for the testing, technology assistance. How do you use Google Drive? How do you use Google Docs and slides and emails and following links and all of that stuff? What does advocacy mean and what can it look like? And we encourage teachers to engage in advocacy on a variety of different levels that improves the quality of care that they're able to provide for the children in their care. And then we also offer job placement support. There's a lot of other things that we might also provide to a teacher or a participant, just depending on their individual needs. Our program is broad enough to understand that it's supportive of all people, but then each individual person, their needs are what we focus on meeting and on an individual basis. So we focus on the group as well as on the individual and what they need. So sometimes there's even housing support, or there's mental health support. I should have put that on this actually. A lot of different ways that people can connect with organizations and groups within their community that will help them live their best lives is what we focus on. And so our goal is to create a high quality early childhood educator because high quality early childhood educators create a safe and healthy space for children and families to learn and develop. And so if anybody who's watching this does know someone who really loves playing and discovering and learning about themselves and others, we would love for you to send them our way. We're hiring teachers at our locations in Minneapolis and St. Paul in early childhood education. We have partnerships with many programs across Minnesota that can support their career. And the link to register for the YWCA Minneapolis Teacher Training Program is right there below. Our locations, YWCA Minneapolis, are downtown Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, Midtown, and at Hubs and Ecolab in St. Paul. I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Paula. Can I ask a couple follow-up questions? I was taking a couple notes. First, I just want to say I love this self-reflection piece. That's something kind of unique that I heard you talk about, this this incorporation of harmony and joy into what is a very, very challenging profession and career. I see that as a way to combat attrition. And I I just think that's a really helpful piece. My question is, you showed that graph about the disparities in different regions of Minnesota, and I wonder what kind of recruitment YWCA does to recruit future teachers from rural areas.
Yep, that's a great question. So we have partnerships with a variety of different centers across the state of Minnesota. I also work with different workforce development organizations. So there'll be like a regional meeting where different universities and different like workforce centers like Child Care Aware representatives and early childhood directors and policymakers, they come together at different meetings. So there's a variety of different regional early childhood groups that meet that I'll share the information with. I'll go to their conferences, like I'll go to the MinTrek conference and share what the program is with the tribal affiliates of early childhood education at MinTrek, or I'll go to the Duluth Partnership. I'll go to a Northland region meeting. I'll go to a variety of different meetings where there's agencies that are working together to try and promote high quality early childhood education. I work with DHS. I work with just a variety of different agencies. But in our 41st cohort that I just started a couple of weeks ago, yeah, 41, we're getting up there. I know, right? I thought 40 was a big deal. But in that group, we did a little exercise where we asked the 20 or so, there's maybe 22 people, they broke into small groups and tried to identify what was their unifying themes. And the number one most dominant theme was that we're unified by our diversity, and that nobody is the same, and that is unifying in itself. And then that the other, like, it was like 90% of people had been referred by another person. So the word of mouth, especially among the network of early childhood educators, is really profound. And a typical early childhood educator doesn't necessarily want to stay in the field, and that's okay, but we want them to stay long enough and share enough that it doesn't create disruptive losses of relationship between them and the young children. So the word of mouth is really big. And then all of the centers that teachers that have been participants in our program, they will continue to refer their new teachers in too. So as they get a new person that's coming in as an aide, or they have an assistant teacher that wants to become a lead, but isn't quite ready for that step into college yet, or doesn't want to, it's just a variety of different things. Our program, because it's a cohort-based model, it's very intimate. And our classes happen twice a week for a couple hours at a time. And so people really have an opportunity to build relationships with each other. And that cohort model is really supportive for some people. Other people just want to go do like a anytime learning class and just like, I don't need to talk to a bunch of people, but we're here for the talking and the loving part.
This really resonates for me. I received a CDA myself before eventually moving on to become a classroom teacher. So I'm familiar with that kind of training and that kind of pathway, and I know how much it meant to me and still means as a gateway into education.
I didn't know that, Tia. That's really nice. Yeah.
Memories. That 90% is such a powerful number too, and reflection that people are know about this and are talking about it and are sharing it, which is the really important piece. You answered my next question, was how many pre-professionals are in a cohort? You said like about 20 or 22. Is that a pretty typical number?
So we'll usually start with we'll enroll about 20 to 25 folks in a cohort, and we'll meet twice a week. And then attrition happens typically in higher education and other education programs, right in the beginning. So you're maybe looking at a loss of 30 to 50% depending on what the circumstances are. So with my group of 20 to 25, I'll probably end up with 12 to 18, right? And then of that group, those folks will go on to test. and hopefully earn their CDA. It's pretty rare that someone does not earn their CDA when they've tried to take the test. The major barriers that folks have are language, with just the written test. So there's several different aspects to how the CDA tests people. And then they do have an opportunity to retest. So we see pretty good success with that.
You mentioned language. Is the test offered in any languages other than English?
Sort of. The test is offered in English and Spanish. Teachers can write their professional portfolios, which is a part of our program. That's usually about 100 pages. They can write that in English or Spanish. And they don't have to do anything special to get those tests. But there is a good chunk of folks in the Twin Cities or in Minnesota that use a different language as part of their job requirements. And so in those cases, the teacher may write their portfolio in that language. It's usually their home language. So say I worked at a Somali center where we spoke Somali, or a center where people spoke Arabic, like then they would write their portfolio in that language. And then they are observed in their classroom with the children that they work with speaking in that language. And then they also have the opportunity to take that test through an interpreter. So while the test would be written out in English, the interpreter would read it and then translate it for the participant who's testing. And last year we did witness 3 teachers go through that process. It's called the monolingual process, and they were successful. And so we have beautiful portfolios written in Somali, teachers that were able to demonstrate that they use their home language as part of their job, and they were able to test and pass that, and it was really, really encouraging. Yeah. So we're looking for greater improvement in that area.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all my questions. I guess now we'll hear from Stephanie Thomas, VP of ECE. Stephanie, take it away.
Hi, this is Stephanie. I don't know that I have anything to add. I was really just here for if Paula had questions or if someone else had questions. But I think in general, Paula did a wonderful job of representing our program. And I think one of the keys that we want everyone to know is that, you know, we really can serve anyone across the state in this program. And so if, you know of an area that's really struggling for teachers, what a lot of places have done to be able to support the early education workforces, hire people who are not qualified and be able to put them into our program and be able to get varianced into being an assistant teacher or teacher kind of as soon as they start that program and maintain on track for that program. And so it does really open up what early childhood centers can do with staffing, knowing that they're going to end up with a high quality teacher out of this program. But so many places are struggling across the state to be able to hire and attract already trained teachers, that this is really an opportunity to open up the workforce. So if they're able to go out and recruit people who would be interested in working for them, then we can insert them within our program and support them across the state, which is figuring out how to become a strong virtual program has been a success in being able to support the entire state versus just the Twin Cities. So just want to make sure that people understand that that's an opportunity for them, because I know the state is struggling with how to attract teachers to the field.
Thank you so much, Paula and Stephanie, for being here and for sharing your expertise, and we'll see you next time.